Hey guys, I'm Ramen Rook. I've always wanted to try and make educational content for the games I'm passionate about. This is my first attempt at it, so I hope you enjoy and, more importantly, learn something. First, I want to go over some useful settings you might not know exist. Open up your settings and go to graphics. Here, I recommend putting your graphic preset to esports mode. This will not only help with performance, but also help clear up a lot of particle puke. Next, go to accessibility. Hit indicator has two options. The default is just hit, while the other option is display damage value. I recommend turning on display damage value, as it gives a bit more info. And next is squad mate indicator. For some reason, this is disabled by default on Operation Verge. You're going to want to turn that on. This gives you a little pop-up you can see here. Helps you find your teammates. Next, I want to talk about the HUD. The HUD in Mecha Break is highly customizable. First, I want to show you the two different styles of HUD. There is Mode 1 and Mode 2. Mode 1 is the default where your health and EN is on your lock reticule, and Mode 2 is where they are at the bottom of the screen. It is worth noting that some characters have abilities that force you into Mode 2, like Tricera and Stego's transformation. Use whichever mode you prefer. This is how I like to do my HUD right now. However, I will be experimenting as time goes on to find what works best for me. The most important elements on the HUD are your EN and health, your teammates' health and fluid armor, and the minimap. Now, the minimap has a secret function. When you press M while in game, the minimap enlarges and shows you a lot more info than it did before. The most important being who is who on the map. It is free info and I highly recommend that you take full advantage of it. Here are some other example HUDs you can use. If you like one, please pause the video to copy it. I would recommend you experiment though to find whatever works best for you. Next, I want to talk about controls. The default keys are 1, 2, and 3. Honestly, this is a pretty diabolical decision from the devs. I recommend swapping them to Q, E, and a mouse button. Another keybind to consider is the fast fall keybind. I personally like the default keybind, which is left alt, but some people prefer changing it to left control. Fast fall is a very important key, so I highly recommend whatever you do, make it comfortable. Now let's talk about various tips you should know. Aiming in Mecha Break uses an FCS system. This involves putting an enemy target inside your lock-on reticule and then waiting for a lock to be acquired. You know you have a lock on when the red triangle pops up. FCS is a predictive-based targeting system, making it very accurate. The best defense is with a lock-breaking technique. This includes shift dodging, jumping, and certain character abilities. Now, let me demonstrate this technique for you called step jumping. Usually, dodging and jumping both consume EN, but when doing this move, you are only losing the EN of one of the actions. This is a great way of disabling enemy lock-on while building distance and getting a moment to survey your surroundings better. Now it's worth noting you can't really do this in the air, as it will still consume the EN of both the dash and the jump. You can add fast fall to this to continue adding evasive elements. Something worth noting here is that you are destabilized when you fast fall. However, pressing shift will get you out of it faster at the cost of EN. You can also hold shift while fast falling to buffer the input to make you instantly dash upon landing. This can be turned into a step jump, allowing you to chain them together like this. Now let's talk about melee. When you hit your opponent with a melee attack, they enter a staggered state. Like being unbalanced, you cannot move while you are staggered. However, inserting the shift button to dash will let you escape and at least break the combo. If you mix in the step jump technique, you'll have a lot better odds of escaping and surviving a melee combo. Some strikers,
melee mode,
like Alisni's Panther and Hurricane, can input a parry for melee attacks. The parry window is quite generous in this game, a solid 2 seconds.
Shield activated.
The visual effect for this window is while the shield is big and glowing.
Shield reactivated.
Strikers will automatically do a counterattack on a successful parry, provided they have a melee weapon.
Shooting mode.
Strikers with melee weapons can do something called Assault Boost by using their melee attack during normal movement. Assault Boost has a feature where it will automatically attack a target you are locked onto, but this can be inconsistent on moving targets. You just click your melee when you're within range, you will hit them more consistently. Also worth noting, you can use Assault Boost to escape, and Assault Boost can be stopped by pressing the back key. When you land a melee attack, you can repeatedly press the melee button to perform a melee combo. As mentioned earlier, your opponent can press shift to escape your melee combo, so this will only work on someone who is out of EN. What I recommend is to land 2 attacks, then use the range option to cancel, like Elistni's Gauss Cannon. Then wait and see. Or you can use a jump cancel into a down slam.
Unavailable.
And you can also combo that up with a Gauss Cannon. Surprisingly, the strategy of a wait and see after your second attack is surprisingly effective. It gives you time to react to whatever defensive maneuvers your opponent will make. An important thing to note about the jump attack is that it does not get parried and can bypass complex shields. They did nerf the jump attack by increasing the end lag, but like all melee weapons, the animation can be cancelled with a range attack. That wraps up everything I wanted to talk about. I hope you guys learned something, and thanks again for watching. Bye!